Jesus has the same blood God breathed into Adam. Jesus was born alive unto God the moment he took his first breath. And he carried that blood until he became 33 years of age. And then he began to shed that blood. The first time that he shed his blood was in the Garden of Gethsemane, when his sweat became as drops of blood and dripped off his nose and off his face and wet the ground of that garden. The second time that he shed his blood was when they dragged him from that garden to Caiaphas' house. And there the Bible said they pulled his beard off of his face. The third time that he shed his blood was at Pilate's hall. And Pilate said, I wash my hands of this. He's innocent. I see no fault in him. I see nothing wrong that he's done worthy. But when he saw that it pleased the Jews, he commanded that he be whipped with the cat of 9 tails. And the third time that he bled from his back. The fourth time that Jesus bled, he bled when they crammed the crown of thorns on his head, and his head began to bleed. The fifth time that Jesus bled was when they took him to the cross, and they stretched his arms out on that cross, and they drove the nails through his hands. And that blood began to speak, and that life began to drip and soak the area under the cross in Jerusalem. The sixth time that Jesus shed his blood was when they pierced his feet and nailed him to that cross, and his feet began to bleed. And then lastly, they shoved a spear in his side, and henceforth came blood and water. And he bled from his side on the cross all the way from the Via Dolorosa, beginning down the cobblestone streets of Jerusalem, dragging that cross. It was one bloody, bloody, bloody trail that you could see all the way to Calvary, all the way to Golgotha. And here's what I've been trying to get to. Every time he shed his blood in every one of those occasions, he did something for you, and he did something for me. Listen, because every time his blood began to drip in those 7 locations and those 7 different places from his body, began to bleed the breath of God, the voice of God, began to cry out on behalf of you and on behalf of me. It's a powerful thing. And I want to go back for a moment, and I want you to see what that blood shed cried out for you and for me. In the Garden of Gethsemane, when his sweat became like drops of blood, it was over an agonizing prayer when he said, not my will, but thine be done. The first time that Jesus shed his blood, it was for the healing of my will. Because my will is not willing and wanting to do his will. My desires are not like his desires. There's nothing natural about my will or my desire being in line with him. But when he shed his blood in that first spot, when his sweat became drops of blood, it was shed so that my will could line up with his will. He shed his blood. The old timers used to say, so I would have the want to. Here's how you know if you're saved or not. You want to. You want to live for Jesus. You want to worship. You want to come to church. You want to be around Christians. You may have all kinds of issues, but you want it. If you just want it, that means life has filled you. This good news is you may be all messed up, but if you just want to be saved, if you want to be like Jesus, if you just want it, you've got it. And the first time he shed his blood, he shed it to heal my will.